So I'm going to go ahead and hit record. Okay. So now basically you're going to say something like, hey, this is Rob Scott from robscott.com. And you are listening to Jeff Smith on Vroom Vroom Veer. Listen up. Something like that.
This is Rob Scott from robscott.com. And you're listening to Jeff Smith on Vroom Vroom Veer.
Well done. You didn't screw up or nothing. Can we go back and screw up?
You want me to screw up?
If you wouldn't mind. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to get a little outtake in there. You see how that worked?
Yeah, perfect. This is Bobby Scattini coming at you live from Vroom Vroom something or other. There it is.
Bobby Scattini. It's a very Philly name. All right. I'm going to hit stop and I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Anita Dhake, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks so much for having me.
So you are hanging out and talking to me on your phone, and where are you calling from? Are you in New York City or where are you?
No, I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado? Wait a minute.
Yeah, this is where I've lived for the last almost 2 years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Somehow I got the impression that you were sitting in a little apartment in New York City. Did you ever live in New York City?
No, I mean, I visit there a million times, but never lived there. It's on my bucket list to live in New York someday, but hasn't happened yet.
Okay, then. Denver, Colorado. All right. So now I have to change my whole internal TV show about what's going on with Anita.
It's beautiful out here. It's 70, sunny. It's great. Denver's lovely.
Yeah, Denver's great. I mean, and you have to get used to the altitude. Whenever I visit Colorado, it's a bit of a challenge for me to do anything.
Yeah,
like
but
walk,
then as soon as you do acclimate, you're amazing. You're like, oh my God, I'm Superman. You know?
Right. Then when you go back to sea level, you're Superman. I know. Did you ever go up to? They used to have a train that went all the way up to Pikes Peak.
Oh no, I have not done that.
It's gone now.
I think you can drive up there.
You can drive up there now, right? I took the train. And I got to the top, and I think it's like 14,000 feet or 12,000 feet, whatever. Yeah. It's crazy high, and I thought I was going to die.
People actually hike these. They're called the 14ers here, 14,000 feet mountains. And it's like a thing that people are obsessed with here.
Yeah, I think it might be a healthier thing to hike it because then you're getting the altitude in smaller doses.
Right,
your
exactly.
Body, your body can adjust a little bit. I did not do well on that train. I got to the top, and then at the very top, there was like this ski chalet thing where you go and hang out and wait for the train to go back down. And it was like snowing like crazy and like piles of snow that we had to walk through. I went and sat down, and I thought I was going to pass out for the whole 15, 20 minutes that I was there.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Fun. But the views were amazing. So aside from the fact that I thought I was going to pass out, it was amazing. Okay.
Well, I'm glad.
I digress as usual. So you're here because you went through this whole thing where you decided, well, first off, I want to get into the fact that you sort of like slipped into going to law school in a fun way. So we'll talk about that. And then you went ahead and finished law school, passed the bar, got a job as a lawyer, and went, wow, I'm making a shit ton of money. And instead of buying a bunch of stuff you don't need with money you don't have, you took a different path that I want to get into. We call that, financial independence, maybe. I don't know. But you definitely did.
Financial independence, early retirement, that kind of thing, retiree,
Right. Right. The fire thing. Right. So let's talk about that. So first off, tell the story about how you sort of like figured out that you might be good at law school, because that sounded fun from your blog.
That I might be good at law school. Oh, I don't know if I'm good at law school. I'm just a really fast reader, and I'm good at standardized tests. So I did really well on the LSATs, and I was working in insurance. I hated my job, and I knew I wanted to do something else with my life. So, and get an advanced degree was on my life bucket list. So I started looking around at like what kind of schools to go to, and I took the LSATs, and I did really well. And all these schools kept sending me applications saying, "Hey, if you apply, we'll waive your fee." Not the tuition, obviously, but the application fee.
Okay.
So it's free to apply. And then I got into the University of Chicago, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to law school because it's a pretty good school, and it seems kind of rude to say no.
Okay, that's great. You kind of like approach life like I do, a little bit. It's like, oh, I guess I'm good at that. Maybe I should try it. Sort of, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I was good at law school, to be honest. I was, very middle of the pack in terms of grades and stuff. I never went out for a law review or anything like that. But I went to a good enough law school, but it didn't really matter. So I got a pretty good job afterwards, and worked there for 5 years and saved a bunch of money and lived very simply. And then I retired. So that's basically my story.
And let me before you retired, did you successfully pay off all of your student debt?
I did. When I graduated law school, I had over $100,000 in student loan debt.
Right, that's nuts. Right.
After working for a year, I paid it all off.
Wow.
It was very exhilarating. Yeah. I think right after law school, it was 2009, and that's when the market kind of collapsed, the unions collapsed, and
right.
There was no work. So my law firm was like, if you want to take a year off, we'll give you a third of your salary, which is still more money than I ever made in my life. And you can go do whatever you want for a year. And we'll pay your minimum student loans for a year. So they paid me $77,000 to go do nothing for a year, basically. And I just used that time and money to travel the world. And I paid down some of my student loans. So by the time that I started working, it was down to like 90 grand maybe. I don't know the exact number. So I paid off 90 grand in 1 year.
That's amazing.
I made a lot of money too, so it worked out. I mean,
I've never heard of that idea that like, they would pay you to not work. Basically,
yeah, it was kind of insane. My life, I live a very charmed life.
It happened to me a little. So back in my kind of like quit moment was the end of 2010. And then in 2011, basically. So I had one of those 6-figure jobs that I quit, much to the chagrin of my wife. Yeah. Right? And everybody in my life to this day, when they think about like what I did, they think I'm fucking nuts. That's all that they think of.
You've got to be talking about how miserable you are at your job the entire time, and like talk about your plan to retire for 5 years. And then by the time you finally do it, everyone's like happy for you because now you're no longer miserable and you finally implemented your plan.
Well, but now I should amend that statement. So there was a whole crew of people that was from this personal development blog community, and they were beating the quit your job drum, right? And I, I get it because I kept saying I wanted to quit my job. So, yeah. So of course they're going to echo that back to you, right?
Yeah. So, when you tell people you want to quit your job, they'll encourage you to quit your job.
Correct. Correct. Now they don't actually, say what's going to happen after that. They're just encouraging you to follow your dream. Yeah. So I didn't really, I just didn't have a plan at all. But for the first 3 years I got free money from the government by doing the GI Bill. So when you're in the military, you get this, they had this post 9/11 GI Bill thing that would pay you a monthly housing allowance that was significant, right? For going to school for 3 years. So I did that for the first 3 years. Yeah, I know. So it was a blast. I finished a bachelor's degree in psychology. And and then I also went to massage school for about a year.
Oh, nice. You're a jack of all trades.
I am. And then, so that was amazing, fun. And then I was supposed to go back.
That could be a $1 million idea if you combine the two. If you become a therapist who does massages.
Well, here I found out. You're probably right. There are people out there that combine those two things. What I found out about psychology was, well, a couple of things. You need to have at least a master's degree to get a job with a psychology degree.
Oh, okay.
And also, while I was in the degree, the most important lesson I took away from that was I didn't want to be a psychologist.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of reasons to go with that, but it was a really good degree to get anyway, just for life experience.
Yeah.
And then 2, I actually did massage for a while, but I didn't really like it as a job. And what you said is the truth, is if you want to make it like a thing that is fun for you and make you enough money to live off of, you basically have to have your own business, spa, something, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that either. I didn't really love it enough to want to do that. So, but I did.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. I did learn all this amazing stuff about trigger point therapy, which you're in your 30s still, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really know what a 40 or 50-year-old body feels like, but they hurt.
Not yet. I'm getting there though, so I see the future.
Right. So I learned, like, when you have pain in your body, like muscle pain, you can use trigger point therapy to fix it rather efficiently. So that was amazing.
Okay.
I mostly just use it for me. I just went through this really big bout of hip, quad / like hamstring pain. And I had to go reteach myself about how to make all that go away. And it took about 2 weeks. And now it's mostly gone. Yeah, now it's mostly gone. But I had to dig out all of my books, and I had to go find my webpage. And, it's this muscle, it's that muscle, it's this muscle too, and I might need new shoes. It's this whole thing. But anyway, I digress yet again, as we do. Okay, so
good word.
Yes, it was fun. So, and that was that conversation sort of like made me think about your whole blog post about the muscle-mind connection thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm obsessed with working out. I started out 2.5 years ago now, and I've been doing it every day. And, like, I feel like I have a new friend of my body, and that I can, like, talk to my muscles, and they talk back. And it's pretty amazing to be able to, like, move them and, be friends with them. It sounds very hippy-dippy when I'm saying it. But
hippy-dippy is very much welcome here. It's okay. Hippy-dippy is good. But when you had your blog post and you had that sort of like childhood glee moment when you were running in the mountains and just like, yeah. I had one of those when I was working that job that I was telling you about in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And for a spell there, I was able to ride my bike to work.
Oh, lovely.
That's amazing. Yes. And this was even before I knew who Pete was and Mr. Money Mustache. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just did it because it sounded like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I used to bike to work when I lived in Chicago, and it was like the best part of my day.
It is amazing.
I completely get it.
Yeah. And it just, there's downsides. Like I would love to do it today, but it takes a long time. And then, so you have to have a lot of time.
Right.
Yes.
Or from your office or whatever.
I know. I wish I could find a job closer to home, but I think I'll retire first. So anyway, but as I was doing that bike ride, right, there was this unexpected childlike glee moment where I was taking this new route to work and suddenly there was a hill. And I didn't have to pay for the hill because it was just a downward slope. And I was like, wee. So that was when I
biking, like when in the city, like you just feel like such a badass when you do it because there's a real possibility of death.
Correct. Yes. Especially in LA, where people will tell you to get the F out of the road.
You're biking in LA. That's impressive.
It was scary, actually, because the drivers will just, in no uncertain terms, tell you where to be and when. Like, get the F out of the road now. Anyway.
LA drivers are their own beast.
Yes. But it was fun. So anyway, I thought we could share that moment. So I know that you've been into meditation for a while, and you're still doing your 27 minutes or 24 minutes or
24 minutes a day. Yeah, 24 minutes for about a year and a half. And it's the best. I wish I had discovered this earlier in life, but I just feel like it's so calming. And every self-help book I've ever read recommends meditation, so there's got to be some reason for that.
Right. Yes.
I know what they're talking about.
Right.
But I totally get it. You sound like you meditate as well.
I do.
So probably preaching to the converted here.
Right. No, you please preach, because most people listening may or may not. There's still that whole people of, it's not for me. I tried it and I couldn't perfectly calm my mind, so I quit.
Yeah. Well, I'd say in the moment when I'm meditating, it's not super fun, I wouldn't call it, but it gives you a chance to like kind of be in the moment and just kind of live in the moment. And if you do that enough, then it kind of spills over to the rest of your day, your life. And I mean, it took a while for me to fully embrace it, but now that I've been doing it regularly, like I can't imagine stopping. But I probably will do this for the rest of my life. Easily.
Sure. No, that's great. I mean, I don't have an official practice now. My practice now has come down to, do you ever like wake up at like 2:00 in the morning?
Rarely. I used to, but now that I'm retired, it's like I just go to bed when I'm tired and wake up when I'm not.
Yeah,
so I have like incredible ability to just sleep whenever and wherever.
So I still have a job. So I did retire, but I went back and got a job. So now that I have this job, I occasionally wake up pretty frequently. I would say somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So that's when I do I'm going to put it in air quotes, meditate.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. Absolutely. I think honestly, because I've been meditating, is the reason that I'm able to fall asleep so quickly, is because when I'm laying in bed, I'm just able to like calm my mind and synchronize my breathing, and then all of a sudden, I'm asleep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like why I put the meditate in air quotes is because I'm now using meditation to get back to sleep.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you're trying to meditate, you accidentally fall asleep.
Yeah.
So why not use it as a sleep aid? That's my thinking. So
brilliant. Agreed.
Yeah. So I mean, all I do is just do that. Have you ever gotten into this? It's more like a breathing exercise, less meditating, where you just
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you just, instead of making your intention to meditate, you just say, I'm going to deep breathe for a while, right? And that's it. It's like you just make up a couple of rules, like I'm going to, inhale for 5 seconds and exhale for 5 seconds, and see what happens with that. Yeah, something super simple, but the counting sort of distracts that chatterbox in your brain that's trying to solve problems when you're trying to sleep. Right. And then, and the breathing is, deep breathing can make you high in and of itself, even if you don't have weed attached to it.
Have you read How to Change Your Mind by, I can't remember the name of the author.
Michael Pollan. Yeah. That's another thing that How to Change Your Mind / Depression is another list item.
Yeah,
so we can get into that.
I highly recommend it.
I want to read it.
Yeah.
Because we both
psychedelics.
Yeah. But it's also as a cure for depression. So I know you had diagnosed clinical depression that you still struggle with, but you have more or less, you've got a management technique, right? So, but you didn't
I've got
always.
a lot of coping strategies, and I've got to say that, retiring has definitely helped that out tremendously as well. Right. Working out has helped, meditating has helped, and just like living the life that I feel like I'm supposed to be living has helped a lot.
Sure.
And not just going through the motions and, going after the big paying job because that's what you're supposed to do and all that other stuff. So I've definitely noticed, like I read through my old diaries and stuff, it's like a 9-day difference between my mood when I was retired and now that I am retired. I'm so much happier. It's not even funny.
It saved your life.
Yeah.
in a real way, really. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It saved the life that I'm supposed to live.
Amen. The thing when I was depressed, I think it was work situational kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where
just the pointlessness of doing everything the same.
Yeah. It's
getting up and going to work and just what am I doing with my life kind of thing.
I think there's this point in early life, probably happens to most people when they get somewhere in their 20s, that the rat race becomes glaringly absurd.
Yeah.
To anybody with above average intelligence. Yeah. It's like, really? This is what everybody's talking about? More shopping? Right? I was kind of hoping there was going to be more. But there's not, right? Unless you go find it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went through that spell of this is really stupid and I don't want to play anymore. And that sinks you into that sort of like depression to me was like this a fuck you loop inside my head, right? It's like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, and all I remember was every time I would be alone, specifically driving home from work, I would just cry. That was,
oh no.
Yeah, that was what depression looked like to me. I know it's sad, obviously. Right. But, thankfully I think paradoxically me attempting suicide a couple of times and failing got me to this, oh, fuck it kind of thing in a good way. It was the power of, oh, fuck it was like, damn, I survived that. Maybe the rest of this shit isn't so bad.
Yeah,
that makes
I completely understand that. It's like, well, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna kill myself. So I might as well learn something new. Thing that I have to do is,
Right, yeah. It kind of turned down the volume of all the noise of the work bullshit. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, but the How to Change Your Mind book is amazing. I haven't read it, but I heard the Tim Ferriss podcast of him talking about the book and how the LSD and all the other psychedelics can help it's sort of like a shortcut. It does the same thing that a long protracted meditation practice can take 3 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It can take 3+ years to get you to that aha sort of like, I think the meditation thing is probably a safer path if you're doing it alone. But I mean, if you're in an emergency situation where you're about to hurt yourself or others, maybe a therapeutic psychedelic is probably for you. Yeah. It would be nice.
Yeah, I'm interested. I would love to try it.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I think, have you seen, I've seen people go and try the ayahuasca, and I would not, do that. I would not do that. Because that is like...
I think I'd try anything that comes out of the earth. It seems natural enough, but I understand your hesitation.
No, to me, okay, all right. I've seen, you can do it with LSD, you can do it with shrooms, you can do it with ayahuasca, right? And you always want to be in a therapeutic setting, right? And you want to have a guide there.
Exactly.
Right? All of those things to make it medicinal and therapeutic and not a party. All important.
Sounds like you didn't even need to read the book. You've got the gist of it.
Correct, right? You're not doing it for a party. You're doing it for an experience and a therapeutic experience. But to me, the ayahuasca is I'm signing up to puke and shit for like a while.
Everyone I've talked to who's done it has all just thrown up the entire time, and that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. But I would still try it, just because I like trying things.
Maybe if I went into it, I would probably fast for a while. But I don't think you get that sort of like same experience with mushrooms.
No, I don't think so.
So
I mean, I don't know personally. I've met with a couple
not tried it either, but
therapists who have who do the set and setting thing. I just haven't felt like a connection, and I felt like I needed to meet with somebody. But they just decriminalized mushrooms in Denver, so I think it has a lot of potential.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, so in Denver there, weed is legal, right?
Yes, it is. I just took some edibles, actually.
Okay, so you're a weed user. That's great, because I was hoping you were going to be, because I'm not.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I actually I would love to, because to me I would love to have something that is weed equivalent of like 3 beers. Something that could either be, I want to chill out, or I want to celebrate a week is over and not have 3 beers, right? But have like one really good hit of some really nice weed. But I can't do that because I have a federal job. So
as soon as you're retired, though, then you're all about it.
Is there such a weed hit that would, have you ever had 3 beers that were really good that made you feel nice?
I don't really drink, so for me, the idea of smoking is so much more appealing than the idea of drinking. Just because the next day I feel like shit when I drink. And when I smoke, I just get happy. So I don't know.
I know.
Seems like a no-brainer to me.
I know. No, that's my point. You just expressed all of my point, because like alcohol has all these, even though it's legal, right? So it's the legal option. It's got all these downsides that, first off, 3 beers that are really tasty has a lot of calories that I don't need. Right. Weed, no calories, right? Unless you include munchie calories, which could be a thing. But anyway.
Oh, it's definitely a thing.
Oh, I know. I experimented when I was a kid, so I know all about Doritos and Ho-Hos. Okay, so before we get too far down the weed rabbit hole, let's move on. So
I can talk about marijuana. It's all good. I love marijuana.
I am looking forward to not having a federal job just for that reason.
Totally fair.
I don't know if I'm going to actually get into it. All I'm going to say is that I want to try.
But you like the option of having to be able to do it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Who knows? I know I've heard a lot of people that say, so when I did weed, it was like 1980 something. So the weed now is like way more powerful and way more.
Oh, yeah. It's a different beast.
It is a thoroughly different beast. And so whenever I do it, I'm going to be taking the advice of Seth Rogen. He's like, just take one small hit and then wait a half an hour and see what happens.
That is actually excellent advice.
Yeah.
Because marijuana hits everybody differently. So I mean, you might need more, but you can always get more, but you can't smoke less.
You can't unsmoke it.
So. Exactly.
You just have to wait. Okay, so let's talk about your 6-pack abs.
Okay.
I think that's how...
I don't have a 6-pack abs right now.
You do? Or you don't?
I do not.
I know. No. I know. I've been reading, and you I think you edited your life bucket list to say 4.
4-pack of abs, right? Because it was impossible to get like a little bit of, fat right underneath my belly button to go away.
Right.
I don't know. I tried for years, and I gave up, and I'm pretty happy with my body still, so it's all good.
No, I know. And I wanted to say that to you. Actually, I started where you were in the 4-pack zone, and then I read back, and I was like, see, so I saw the little growth hump that you went over of letting go of the 6 and being happy with the 4. So good for you. Me, I'm personally happy with my keg. So
well, you always have, reserves with the keg, so that's something.
That's right. I'm ready for the zombies if I have my keg. 'Cause I can still move pretty good with it. It's a pony keg. It's not a half barrel.
So what happened with you? You said you started with a 4-pack, and then how did you get to the keg? Just life in general?
No,
started happening?
I've been struggling with weight forever. So even when I was active duty Air Force, it was easier to lose weight because you've got the community of people that are way fitter than you. around you.
Oh my gosh, competition makes a huge difference.
Oh, and
having someone else there.
Yeah. And then I was I was the boss of all these people that were younger than me. So there was the younger guys in their 20s and I'm in my 30s. And they were pushing me to help them, stay in their tip-toppity tip-top, right?
Oh, so nice. That's flattering.
Oh my God, that was brutal. But I also had to work with the people that were struggling just to pass. So that was fun because all of a sudden I'm feeling like, hey, look at me. I'm old and I'm running.
Oh man, I'm in much better shape in my 30s than I was in my 20s. I was like skinny fat in my 20s. I was never happy, but I'm in much, much better shape. But you couldn't pay me enough to go back to being in my 20s.
But I think you've learned the hard way, like most people, is like you can be fit and fat at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like losing weight and being fit are actually two separate things that they work together, but I think you have to really change the way you eat in order to lose weight.
It's all diet, right?
Yeah, it's all diet, right. Now, fitness is always its own thing. You have to be fit too, but you're not going to lose weight by fitness. It just doesn't work.
Right. There just aren't enough hours in the day.
Right. I spent most of my life being fit fat. I'm probably still fit fat.
I think I'm fit fat too, but I'm fitter than I was. So as long as I'm making improvements, I'm happy.
When I read the 4 Hour Body, and when he laid out what the fitness thing is just body fat percentage. That's what those people that are fitness models, that's what they're doing to themselves. They're sort of like, I don't even know what you'd call it, but I don't think everybody stays there all the time, right? I think they take those pictures.
Oh, no, I don't think
then they
possible,
go and have a
especially for women.
Right. I would say, take those pictures, do that photo shoot, and then go have a double cheeseburger and some fries.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to stay there forever unless you're doing it every day in the gym and that's sort of like your job lifestyle thing. Then it's probably a little bit easier for you because you can survive on protein shakes and chicken breasts and broccoli.
You have to if you want to get paid kind of thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you're doing photo shoots and classes every day, then okay, all right. You're missing out on those double cheeseburgers, but okay. I would rather.
I'm a vegetarian, so I'm all about the French toast. Or a cheesecake or something.
Whatever it takes. Oh, that's another thing we can talk about is the salad for breakfast. And we're getting close to wrapping up. So, but I'm having a good time. So if we go a little over, that's okay with me.
Okay. I had a salad for breakfast today. It's honestly the best thing ever. I feel like I've used that phrase a lot, but I really like it. It's filling. You're eating so many greens and you get it early and often.
It's satiating too, and it can take you to lunch plus. Yeah.
And it just feels like a treat because it's a giant salad and you have all these, delicious ingredients in it. And so much better than, eggs or cereal, in my opinion.
And you put hard-boiled eggs in your salad too, right?
Yeah, it's great. And sunflower seeds and it's a salad, so you can put whatever you want in it. There's no wrong answer. And it's been a lot of fun finding different ingredients to put in and make different salads.
I would say that's perfect for a retired person.
Yeah. It's a little sad, but that's the exciting part of my life, is figuring out the good salads. But
so have you ever heard of Dr. Rhonda Patrick? She's on Joe Rogan's podcast. Check her out. So put that note to self. Check out Dr. Rhonda Patrick.
What did you say her name was? Rhonda Patrick?
Yeah, Dr. Rhonda Patrick. And she's on Rogan's podcast a lot, so you can find the snippets on YouTube. Yeah. So like her and Rogan, they hang out together a lot. She's got her own stuff too. But she's got this really amazing recipe for a micronutrient smoothie that I am now addicted to. Yeah, I'm addicted to that. So it's like kale.
Yeah, I make a lot of smoothies too.
It's kale, it's spinach, it's kale, spinach, chard, tomato, carrot, avocado, apple, blueberries, And then I add a protein shake scoop.
Oh man, that's a lot.
And
that sounds
a banana.
filling.
Well, okay, so she drinks like that whole thing every day.
Okay, that's her meals.
That to me, it makes, when I use my blender, it makes about 2 quarts, and that'll last me about 4 days. So a fourth of that batch is my breakfast in the morning, and that lasts from 6 until about 9. Right?
Okay.
And that's when I have.
Have you noticed a difference in the self-described keg?
Yes.
Like I'm doing it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, now I've been doing. Have you ever heard of Noom?
I've heard of it. I've seen the commercial for it. I don't actually know what it is, though.
It's just an app.
Like an app?
Yeah, it's an app, but it approaches. It's not really a diet per se. It's more using cognitive behavioral therapy in a sneaky kind of way.
Oh, interesting.
To teach you how to like be a little bit more honest about what you're doing with food.
Okay.
So I started doing Noom a while ago, and when I started, I was probably hanging around 230, and now I'm hanging around like 210.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
It's not bad.
20 pounds seems like a lot.
So, and all of that time, I was drinking a lot of beer. So the current keg has got beer in it, right? So now I'm in a beer break. So I usually lose 10 to 20 pounds on every beer break. So again,
how long is your beer break?
As long as I can make it happen.
Wow. Okay.
Until the next mandatory beer. How's that? I try to go 30 days at a time. But, you know, those beers have a sneaky way of finding their way into my stomach. You know, like, oh, hey, we're going to have beers after work. Oh, that sounds fun.
I will say this. I don't drink very often. I drink probably, once every 4 months.
Right.
Every time I do, it's really fun. So I completely understand the appeal. It's just the next day I'm kind of miserable.
No, yeah, you're right. Hangovers suck. That's why it's like, ugh, I wish in my world, alcohol would be illegal and weed would be legal. They would just switch places because we got stuck with the hangover version. That's not good.
Yeah. And even if alcohol is illegal, like you'll still be able to get it, so
right.
It won't be easy to get, so you'll still be able to partake. It just won't be like an everyday thing or an every week thing, maybe.
Right. No, I don't think I'll ever completely quit drinking just because of the social thing. It's like I have some friends and family that drink. What I want to do is not do it when I don't have to. like
never drink alone.
You just, you get into a habit of, hey, it's Thursday. That's a 6-pack. Just because it's fun, I would, and I cannot do it. So my stand-in choice for beer is kombucha, which works really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
I follow kombucha as like sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it's absolutely terrible, and there's no way of knowing that until you've already bought it.
That's true. You're right. You never know when you're going to sip something that tastes like feet. That's why it's fun.
Whereas beer, there's no such thing really as bad beer,
Right. Yeah. Kombucha does occasionally not. It's not good. Right. But it's usually good. Okay. So we are now officially wrapping up, I think. We've got one more thing to hit. And then we'll wrap it up. This has been a blast. So thank you. So,
it's been great.
It's been fun. And I want to get more into the FI. Am I saying, is it Phi or Phi? The FI.
I think it's Phi.
Okay, Phi, Phi, Phi.
I would say retire early, but I've heard Phi.
Phi. So for those that don't know what we're talking about, it's like financial independence is the FI or Phi, and then the retire early is the RE. So then you put it all together, it's FIRE. So there's a FIRE movement. Yep. Yes. And Anita is a blogger in the FIRE space. But there are downsides to early retirement that I found out about. And you blogged about.
When you retired, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I hit when I tried to not work and stay home was that, I was just alone a lot. So, some of that old creepy...
I mean, you were married too, so...
Right. Well, my wife was working a full-time job. When I was not working, she was working a full-time job. And then, so it was a party when I was making all of that free money from the government. Because I would, I didn't have any guilt that I wasn't making money. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There was still a paycheck with my name on it hitting the checking account.
You felt like you earned it because, it's your money.
So those 3 years, I was just gleefully fun. It was just, I'm in school, But then when it was done, then I felt like required to go at least make a little bit of money. Right?
Yeah.
And then during that time,
it's fun to make money, right?
It is hilariously fun to make money. Yes, especially when it's not required. So I did a bunch of temp jobs, and I drove for Lyft. I did massage for a while. Okay. Yeah, anything that I could do that would be quote unquote easy to me. Really easy, like low hours. Just sort of like getting out of the house and being around people and helping. Yeah, those kind of things.
Okay.
But I was still really lonely, that isolation stuff. Because there was always gaps of non-employment. And then, I actually went and got unemployment. And that's like the worst feeling ever. It's like you're going to the principal's office and you're getting in line with all the other people that are in trouble. Saying, I can't find a job, I want money. Yeah, it's awful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I would rather just not have the money. I don't want to do it again. But what were some of the downsides of early retirement for you?
I think we briefly touched about it. It's like sometimes I think if I died, it would take a while for people to notice.
Say that again. If you died, it would take a while?
Yes, for people to notice.
Oh, right. Okay. I get it.
So it's like I don't really feel like I have a place in the system, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So
yes.
Like one of the first questions that people ask you is,
what do you do? Right.
And that's kind of how they judge you in your mind. And
right.
I don't really do anything. I work out, I meditate, I read, I write. What I do is my hobbies. And I think people kind of look down on you a little bit. What do you say that? Like when I said I was a corporate lawyer, when I was a corporate lawyer, like the looks people got were kind of like respect. Whereas now I think people think I'm lazy and, maybe I am lazy, which is fine with me. I'm much happier now. I just know that how you're viewed changes dramatically when you retire early.
Yes.
How people view you. Yeah.
I went through that sort of feeling while I was still active duty Air Force because my wife and we found ourselves the age of empty nesters and we never had kids. So we were sort of like inappropriately young and hanging out with people way older than us by mistake.
Okay.
Just because so we're making plans to do XYZ when we're staying in England. And because of our sort of like makeup as a couple with no kids, we landed in the places where old retirees were. Not even on purpose. It's just like, that place looks really cheap and it's open off season. It's like, who else is going to be there?
Yeah, exactly.
So that kept reoccurring where my wife and I were going through this. Why are we hanging out with old people all the time?
I went on 2 cruises last year and there was not a person that was under like 60 on any of them.
Right? Okay, so you
went. Feel very young.
You went through that too. Okay, good. It's the same sort of feeling you get when you have too many consecutive days with no alarm clock, basically.
Oh, that's my favorite part of the day, though. Like sometimes I will set my alarm clock just to like be like, I don't have to get up and then go back to sleep. Honestly, it's such a fun feeling.
That's great.
It's a great way to start the day. It's like I can do whatever I want, and I'm going to sleep some more. So,
that's the best. That is the best. Yeah. What I would say was that I think I'm looking forward to it as long as my wife is with me, because I suffered a lot.
As long as your wife is what? Sorry?
With me. So if we're
your wife is with you,
right? Right now she's not working. So the plan is for me to not work in about 4 years from now. So
very reasonable.
Yeah. So if we're both not working at the same time, then it's sort of just like every day is a weekend kind of wake up.
Yeah.
And I already know how to do that.
Days of the week mean nothing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. So when you do it and the other person is going to work and you're the one staying home alone, not so good. From my experience.
Feeling guilty about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And then, I just really, I would go to lunch with a friend like once a week.
Yeah.
And it was just like I was a puppy, it was like, oh, people. Anyway.
I totally get it. Like you have one errand to do and you're like, that's my activity for the day. And I'm so proud of myself that I did it.
Right. But you also, are you still doing that part-time job that you were talking about? That's like a writing gig?
Yeah, I call it a part-time job. It kind of keeps myself accountable. Like I try to write 20 hours a week. So it's just a way to keep track and like I check in with my boss who is me and I just,
Okay. So it's a pretend part-time job. Understood.
It's a pretend part-time job.
That's great. I love it.
It's a little silly, but it works for me. I mean, I was so worried when I retired that I was just going to sit on my couch and smoke weed. So I need to have all these lists of things that I'm doing and like, I have to have plans because it would be way too easy to like watch your life drift by if you didn't, in my opinion.
And you'd start working on your keg if you were me.
Yeah.
The first year of my retirement, I ballooned because it was just like every
my goodness.
Every day was a party. I was like, hey, I have a job.
I actually read that the opposite is true. That like the first couple of years after retirement, you're like, oh, let's get in shape because you have so much time, So
yeah,
no. You thought it was a party. I like that.
Not me. It was just like, hey, cheeseburger, beer.
You're a big fan of the cheeseburgers, I see.
Well, whatever. You can get a vegan cheeseburger. It's all good.
Yeah, it's true.
The Impossible Burger is pretty good. Okay, well, we could BS forever. I know we could. We should hang out more.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. Come hang out on my show anytime you want. We'll have a good time. You can co-host.
Sounds good.
All right. So say your URL and how people can best get in touch with Anita Dhake.
Yeah, my blog is thepowerofthrift.com. You can email at me at thepowerofthrift@gmail.com. I'm not really on the social medias very often, so I'd say those are the two main ways.
They're bad for your brain. Good.
Yeah. It's terrible for you, honestly, and I feel much happier when I'm not on it.
Amen. And you're an amazing writer, so don't quit, please.
Thank you. It's really nice to hear.
Yeah. You can tell when somebody enjoys writing because you engage with all your commenters, which,
Yeah. Well, I don't have very many comments, so it's pretty easy to engage.
You do. You have, I wouldn't say it's like through the roof, but it's, you can tell people are reading,
Yeah.
So
that's always flattering, and it's like I love doing it, so no complaints on my end.
Right, and I can tell you're like this spreadsheet nerd, and you just love to spend time with like lists and blogging and like just keeping yourself all straight and organized, and you would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So I know we can be friends from afar, but that's about as far as it would go because I'd be like, oh, you're doing that list thing again. I'm gonna go this way.
That's what I think I need someone like you in my life because I think I'm too rigid sometimes. And it'd be really good to see how other people live and how else to do it.
Everybody is them, right? I'm just saying I couldn't live in your brain. Far too many lists and rules. Anyway, this has been a blast, Anita. I appreciate you hanging out with me for about an hour.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, you have a good one. Thanks.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.